Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we're covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases?
And coming to you like the three little pigs of the Playdate universe.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started.
Let's get started, guys. No blowing this house down. We're here to stay.
Ryan, how many
Yes,
of these references of three do you have?
all of them.
Okay, just curious.
He's got a whole list running.
I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of wondering if I've said some of them before. Like I wish I would have kept a running list of what I did do. Because when I started, I didn't think this was going to be a thing. Much like
You're
the boobs.
ruining the illusion here.
I know.
There's an audio record of them, Ryan. You
There
can
is.
listen back
That would involve me
80
listening to our
hours of,
episodes.
yeah. Well, you don't have to. Nobody's going to remember.
Somebody can go archive them or not. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
No,
Anyway,
we're
if
good.
there's some statistically minded person among our
Don't
fine
do it. Don't
listeners,
do it. Don't do
yeah,
There's
I
probably a better way to spend your
I
time.
wouldn't turn it down. Maybe somebody, what could happen? What could happen is somebody could just start listening right now, and
Okay.
this very episode would be their first, and they'd think, "Boy, howdy, this was such a fabulous show. I'm going to start from the beginning." Then they'd be in a perfect position to write down all of
it.
those
Oh, there you go.
references of three.
You know, I love your positivity, Ryan.
I'm nothing if not hopeful. All
Yeah,
right.
it's true.
Speaking of which, there's some good things coming up, like listener mail. Dawn.
Entry one, Three Little Pigs. Listener mail. Yeah. While we were recording our last episode, we received an email from Jason Martin. This was a suggestion from
Wait a
Zanya
minute.
Lasagna,
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. Jason Martin?
not the Jason Martin from Starflyer 59. Is there another Jason Martin that you're?
Well, I went to high school with a Jason Martin.
Could be that one.
That would be wild and crazy. Jason
Let's see
Martin,
if it's
Go text him
let's
real
see,
quick.
if you went to Santa Ynez High School, please message again. That would be really wild.
let's see if
Um,
this is a Ryan heavy message, and then maybe we'll know.
okay,
It
okay.
says
Let's.
it says Hello Playdate Podcast. I went to high school with Ryan in third period English. No, it says
Now I know it's false.
okay. Now that we're halfway through the release of season two, I'm curious about the decision points for how Panic decided what belongs as a season game and what doesn't. What about designers, publishers? What do they see as markers of a season game? Publishers could even comment about whether a game should go on itch, catalog, or both. Obviously, an interview with someone at Panic and an experienced Playdate publisher could answer these questions, but I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on the subject as well. Thanks for a great pod. Thank you, Jason Martin,
Thank you,
for
Jason
writing
Martin.
in and listening.
Yeah.
Appreciate that as always. And thank you,
Absolutely.
Zanya, for sending Jason our way. Uh, yeah, so I've heard a little bit of rumblings on how this works. They put out sort of like a call for submissions for season two, but I think they specifically approached season developers as well. Do you have anything? We're going to take submissions for season two. Do you have anything? That kind of thing. So I think it was a mix of those two things. So it says, what do they see as markers of a season game? It's not like they were specifically handpicked, but listening to the podcasts that Krista Mergen has released on the official Playdate podcast, it sounds like it's a mix of like, hey, what are you guys working on? Do you got anything for season two? Because we're taking submissions right now. Do you guys have any input here?
I have no specific information, but I would imagine it's the two things Don mentioned. I think that's correct. The call for submissions and soliciting season one devs, and I think probably soliciting some how do you say it, heavy hitter devs who were not in season one, who have been producing game after game. Like Scenic Route Software was not in season one, but I think he was approached when they saw him doing hit after hit after hit. And he was working on the whiteout at the time. And I think they asked him about that in particular
Mhm.
because he was posting publicly. But then, if you remember from his interview, he was like, I didn't have anything, but I kind of developed it because they reached out to me. So I think it was probably a mix of all of those. And Jason Martin says an interview with someone at Panic and an experienced publisher could answer these questions. I have a hunch that if you got both of those parties on the same interview, there might be some uncomfortable conversations like, well, why was I not invited, or why was this person not invited? How do you determine who's invited? Where's the cutoff for people who are invited? What about this game that was cataloged, whereas the other game was season 2'd? What is the difference? I'll bet there's a lot of decision making involved in terms of like, not only how polished is the game, but like, do we have a bunch of point and clicks this season? Like, we've got a couple of them this season, one of which we're going to talk about today. I'm sure they're trying to make a variety of games within the season. It's just got to be like a ton of deciding factors involved. And I would imagine you can't really like pinpoint here's the one thing, but I don't know. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think in any publishing situation, like the season is a publishing scenario. You've got a situation where there are a lot of decisions which lead up to the point where you add something to the season. I have a feeling that there are different metrics that Panic was trying to hit, not just with variety and experience, but as you said, Ryan, like the polish that's applied, and also salability, which would be a big factor. If you have a bunch of different experiences, but none of them quite hit for the target audience, then it's probably not going to hit for a general audience either. And so that salability is really important. Even more so, I would say, than it would be for a catalog edition where you have a much broader audience. You have kind of a captive audience with the season where the customer pays for X number of games and then they receive them. So there's an expectation on the deliverable that's a little different than a one-on-one scenario. And for catalog versus itch, there are similar thought processes, I would assume, on Panic's part for addition to catalog. For itch, anybody can make a game and publish to itch. So that would be an area where you could put any game or all games if you were to choose. I suspect that for the season games, though, there is an exclusivity clause in the contract that requires them to primarily be distributed, or only, sorry, distributed through the season mechanism. Otherwise, we might see them elsewhere.
If not indefinitely, then at least for a period of time before tossing it
Right.
up to like itch or something. Yeah.
Yeah, to be able to break out of the bundle and sell individually. But anyway, that's really a non-answer because I don't know. I have not published anything in any of those places.
But I'd wager you any amount of money that that's the kind of answer you would get if you cornered any of these folks, like Arissa or a publisher or a game developer. I think you're going to get a really broad answer because there's not a single thing to point
Yeah,
to. Yeah.
yeah.
What
So
games from season one have broken out of season one? Just Hypermeteor? Any
Yeah, that one
others?
went to,
Hypermeteor broke out on the Switch, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, but
Uh,
it's not on the same platform, not distributed the same
Right,
way.
right, right.
So that's like an entirely different game. It's almost like a sequel if you think of it that way. But
Yeah.
Blippo Plus is
Oh
breaking
boy.
out of season 2.
So
Yeah,
Um,
that's
there's a
true.
little difference here in that if you have a play date, you
mhm,
have season one.
right.
So there's really no reason for any of the season one games to break out of the season and hop over to itch, whereas
That is
season
correct.
two is optional. If you have a play date, you do not necessarily have season two. So there would be more of a reason to break out and go to itch for some of the season two games. If somebody wanted one and didn't want to buy into all 12. Yeah, that'd be really interesting to find out from some of these publishers what that exclusivity clause is and how long that lasts. It's almost like the
Well,
first season didn't matter how long it was because everybody's got it.
and I think Panic paid for the development of the season one games,
Hmm.
and I'm wondering about season two.
Yeah. So in that space, they would be the publisher, and so they would have certain rights under the contract that was
Yeah.
signed.
Well, if everybody
Um,
got paid and then sales just all go to Panic, or if they get a cut of the sales,
Yeah, it could be any number of
right.
things.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
could, developers could get paid up front, and then, Panic is betting on the fact that they'll recoup money from season two sales, or every developer gets a percentage of season two sales. Yeah, that'd be another interesting thing to find out.
Mhm.
Sounds like a good interview topic. Who's tackling it?
I don't do interviews.
Don?
So
Nick?
I don't do
Nick?
interviews.
Nick, Don? No. All right.
That's
Jason
Orion.
Martin,
That's
this
Orion.
one's in your court.
You
I
guys can
can't wait
talk
to hear
about
your Arissa interview.
SoCal High School and talk about that.
Oh
All
my
right,
gosh.
should we move into news?
If this was the Jason Martin, I would do a tag team interview with him and Arissa.
Well, let us know, Jason, if you're the Jason Martin. And thanks again for writing in. If you guys have
Yeah.
questions, he emailed us. What is it? Helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com? Yes, it is. Helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. But
Indeed. And you know what else we have is a phone number that you can call. It's the
oh, here we
Bingo's
go.
tip line that comes straight to us. And this is probably a good time to mention that because maybe people don't listen all the way to the end of the show. I mean, why wouldn't they? But if they don't, it's 724 Bingo's one. That's 724 246 4671. That's 724 246 4671. That's a really for real phone number that comes to us. It's our dear sweet friend Nick Baldridge's bingo tip line, and you can leave a message there for us, and we would play it on air. So don't forget about that. We'll tell you again at the end of the episode if you forgot that. And don't feel like rewinding 10 seconds. In the meantime, hoobity boop boop boop, news and notes coming at you right now. And guess who's compiling them this time? That's right. So we got a whole bunch of them, starting with, some of the huge, like we got these new episodes of the official Playdate podcast covering the episodes. What am I talking about? The season two games that have come out since last time. Again, spoilery stuff. We're just going to link you to the official Playdate podcast so you can hop over there if you don't mind getting spoiled. And likewise, with the Engadget reviews coming hot and heavy, our favorite Cheyenne McDonald keeping those reviews coming of season two. Again, we're linking to the Cheyenne McDonald main page over on Engadget so you can see all the latest stuff. But oh my goodness, Nicholas Baldridge, did you get a load of this next news and note in Blippo Plus news? New Party Music Nonstop shirts on the Cotton Bureau. How many of these have you ordered already?
I have not ordered a single one yet,
Oh my
but
gosh. I hope
yeah,
that you order one and not just cut off the sleeves, but like cut the sleeves off to where it goes down to almost the bottom of the shirt so that we
mhm.
can see all the sides of your rib cage when you're wearing these shirts and dancing nonstop party music.
You know what's
Yeah, I
weird is
mean,
they
could
don't
happen.
put they didn't put it on the regular they didn't put it on the regular Playdate Cotton
Cotton
Bureau
Bureau.
site. Yeah,
Yeah,
what's up with
yeah.
that?
Oh, they know this Blippo Plus is polarizing, but its own special thing. Oh, maybe it's because
I
the
don't think
aliens put
that's
up
it.
this shirt, right? The
Yeah,
aliens put it up.
the
Is that
people
how the
from
lore
Planet
goes,
Blip,
Nick?
There's a
the
whole
planet.
Blippo site apparently,
Yeah,
not just that shirt.
free blinker. All right, here we go. And boing boing, we got all the taglines. This is great.
Is Nick
Um,
saying English right now?
I'm very excited.
He's speaking in beeps.
and
This is what we
blippies.
hear when you're speaking your beeps and boops.
I guess I'm not one to talk. All right. Point taken. I guess I should move on to the next news and note, which is a bit of a reminder that Playdate's summer bundle is here. That means you can get two Playdates, two yellow Playdate covers, and two can sleeves or koozies, depending upon what part of the country you're from. And all that is going to cost you $449, which saves you $77. So if you want to hop into this whole Playdate thing with a buddy, or maybe even get one for yourself and one for a gift, there's a screaming deal right now at Playdate/shop/summer bundle. There's some dots and slashes in there. So go to our show notes. We've got a link there to take you to the Playdate summer bundle. Speaking of bundles, boy, howdy, do we have a bundle of news coming from the uncranked corner this episode. First, starting off, the July's caption this contest is live, live, live. We've got that show note link. And Zanya wants to send out some big congrats to Shadow815X, Damos Games, and Orange Jiminy for winning June's animated caption this contest. Nice work, guys. You can go see the winners at this YouTube link in the show notes as well. And if that wasn't exciting enough, we've also got an uncranked coffee table book coming at you. We have articles that are, oh, wait, no, let's see here. So book one is actually focusing on coding and Playdate in general. And if you want to submit an article for that coffee table book, you can. But book two is going to be hot on its heels, and that is the art book. And Zanya is also accepting art for that second uncranked coffee table book. The price of the books are going to be announced soon, with pre-orders opening later this year for a holiday delivery. So if you're looking for some more Playdate gifts and a Playdate's not the one you're looking for, boy howdy, maybe this coffee table book will be what you're looking for. You can reserve your copies at a form that we've got linked in the show notes. And finally, in Uncranked Corner, Zanya's looking for some voice actors. Do you know about the old Uncranked YouTubes where we've got Diva and Devin and Luna Pearl? Well, they're all voiced by AI at the moment, and Zanya's looking for some voice actors. So you can head over to this link in the show notes, and it looks like there is a deadline of Friday, July 11th. So at the end of this week, you want to toss those submissions in for voicing Diva or Devin if you want. Okay, so that's another thing you can do. But as always, if you want to stay up to date with all the Uncranked happenings, don't forget about their Substack. That's uncrankedpdzine.substack.com. That's uncranked, no E, Z, a pdzine.substack.com. And oh, almost forgot. How can I forget? Destination update. We've got season two, week 5 games coming at you. And if you want to know about those and some more stuff that Destination Playdate is covering, head on over to old Attack Slug's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/at Destination Playdate/featured. And I think that's going to do it for the news and notes. Guys, what did I miss?
I think you got it all. You covered a lot there.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Do my best. Thank you, guys. I guess that brings us to in the inventory today. So I think this is going to be covered by Dawn.
Yeah, just a quick one. Owlet's Embrace by Strumpf. So that's a lot of interesting words there. There's a demo out. The game is coming out next year, but there's a demo. This game looks very exciting, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. So that was worth mentioning that the demo is out, so you can give it a little go and
This
get
is
even more excited.
very Bionic Commando Kirby vibes. Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it looks great. So give
Yeah.
it a shot and come back next year to play the full thing.
Yep, graphics look amazing, and I think Nick kind of nailed it on the head. Bionic Commando mechanics with sort of a fluffy, round, Kirby feel. You're playing as an owl with a big, wacky arm. Uh, but it looks amazing, as Don said. I really think folks have been clamoring for this one. Doesn't come out till 2026, but boy, howdy, it's nice to be able to hop on a little demo here. Very cool. Maybe you can even give some feedback to the dev.
We're halfway to 2026. That's
Yeah, we
crazy.
are. My goodness.
Wow. All right. Should we move along to, oh, we should mention, I'll step on Ryan's toes. The We're recording a little bit early, so catalog games go on and off sale frequently, but there'll be a link in the show notes. You can check and see what catalog games are on sale in your area at the moment if you follow the link. Um, yes, we'll be back to mentioning catalog sale games soon, but we won't want to mention them now and then have them fall off. Cool.
Sounds good to me. All
All
right.
right,
Saves me some price reading, I suppose. So does that mean we're done with indie inventory?
we are.
My goodness. Well, I guess we're just gonna make this a 15-minute show. I better make this a really long boobity boop boop as
No,
we
no,
move
no, no.
into
Okay.
the season 2, week 5 games, and we're gonna be starting with a little gem called Tiny Turnip. Now, Tiny Turnip, Nicholas, I feel like I miss your voice this episode. Do you want to talk about what Tiny Turnip is?
Tiny Turnip is a Metroid-like game where you are a turnip. But there's a twist. The twist is this turnip has been blessed with arms, and with these arms, it can climb. So the gameplay feels like a bit of a mixture between Crazy Climber, the arcade game, and DK King of Swing. Did either of you play that game?
I have not.
Indeed, yes.
Yes. Okay. Um, so it feels very much in that kind of mode, but with power ups and so forth that you'd expect from a Metroid type game. Um, yeah, those are the basics. Really, it's all about the mechanics of navigating the world. To do so, you press one button for one of the arms, and I believe the other button for the
Nope.
other.
Nope.
Nope.
Same
All right.
button,
Thank you.
both arms.
Hmm.
Same button, both arms. All right. And
Yuppers.
then I think up drops you if you press
Yeah,
that.
eventually,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's a
think the
power up.
up is the arm retraction and going back out, if I'm recalling.
That's the rolling
Okay.
power up.
Well, that is the rolling power up, but before then, you can release both arms simultaneously if you do something, which I've forgotten. Um, anyway, all right.
Let's see how many more actualies we can give to Nick as he's describing this
No,
Actually,
game.
no. I think that is the extent of my description. So, Don, what what are your thoughts?
I really enjoyed Tiny Turnip. I At first I this isn't what I thought it was going to be at first. I guess I should have latched onto the Metroid-like thing a little more. But in my head I was like, oh, they're little bite-sized puzzles, and that's kind of the vibe I expected. But then once it reveals that there's a map button, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here. And then when you unlock your first like upgrade or power up, it shows you a list of how many power ups there actually are. And I was like, oh man, there's going to be a lot going on here. So, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of depth here for this type of game, and it gets a lot of mileage out of a somewhat simple concept of just rolling a turnip around, a turnip with arms around. I did enjoy it. Like listening to the podcast interview with the dev, he said that he made it where it was like so natural to him. It was too easy, too easy, too easy. I never got to where it felt totally natural to me
Same.
or like so easy. I It didn't feel like it was super hard,
Hmm.
and I it felt some I'm trying to put this into words and really struggling here because mostly it made sense in my head, but I was never like, it's not like using a joystick and buttons because you're
Hmm.
always like messing with your head because your hands overlap. I think maybe if your hands didn't overlap, I would have thought about it differently. Or maybe the A B thing that Nick started to talk about, like where B is the left hand and A is the right hand. I think that would have made the game a lot harder if we had to control like that. But my brain would have maybe eventually clicked. It would have been a lot harder to learn, but eventually I would have got it. Um, it is fairly easy to control in a way. I don't know. It's just like a difficult game to describe because there's some pretty tricky elements and like I would get stuck and then kind of jam my way through and then I would be fine for a while and then get stuck again and beat my head against the wall for like a half hour to an hour and then sail for another half hour and then get stuck and usually when I get stuck in games, I just give up. But something about this kept pushing me. I did eventually get stuck and give up though. So, so I did not finish the game. I only could take so much abuse. But there is a lot of really cool ideas here. And it kind of had like this animal well sort of thing where I wasn't sure if I was going to find secrets, but it's not as packed with secrets as Animal Well. But it just kept me guessing all the time. Anyway, I feel like I'm definitely rambling because I'm having a very difficult time getting my words out today. But okay, what did you guys think?
No, I thought that was a very coherent thought
I
process, Don.
disagree.
I agree with a lot of it. And you mentioned at first the map, and some of your sentiments really resonated with me. In fact, these were some notes that I took down as I was playing to talk with you guys about to see if you had similar feelings. So, okay, I was honestly a little surprised to hear this game described as a Metroidvania. That would not be the first thing I would think of when I played this game. I'm thinking more puzzle platformer type game, but when I think of Metroidvania, I think there's a figurative human element. You're sort of platforming, and I mean, there's uh, adjacent elements to that. But like I said, I'd much more toss this in the puzzle platformer genre. Um, but coming back to the map thing. So, yes, there is a map to the game. And I saw that and just sort of like, oh, sat back for a minute and got stressed out for a while and eventually just came back to the game like, all right, I'm just gonna play what's right in front of me. But it's sort of like if you were to just start playing the very first Metroid on NES and you could press pause and zoom out to the entire game map. Ah, so overwhelming. But I think I would have been less overwhelmed had there not been an entire game map to zoom out to. I understand that you're trying to like track your progress, and as you get to a new area, you're sort of fleshing out this map a little more. But those were the feelings that it gave me. It gave me these feelings of anxiety, these feelings of overwhelm, seeing that giant map to begin the game. Did you guys feel that, or am I alone in that?
Oh yes, I did as well. So
Okay.
if you think about the original Metroid and the way the map system works in that, you have large areas which are broken up by these elevators,
Hmm.
which really mask some of the limitations of the NES
Hmm.
at the time. But it was a clever way to kind of break up the map and also keep things somewhat bite-sized. In this case, and DK King of Swing is kind of similar. Things are broken up into smaller levels. In this case, it's everything all together, and so it's very, very overwhelming.
Hmm.
Um, I found this game to be quite challenging to control, and Don sort of touched on that, but he didn't say that it was super challenging to control exactly. But I had a really hard time making the arms work, which is the primary mechanic, uh, and getting things lined up in the way that I wanted. I knew what I wanted to do. It didn't feel unfair but it felt like I lacked the dexterity to actually do it successfully frequently. So I found myself playing for a bit, trying to get a little further. And the main goal of the game is to get these four, what are they, golden fruits?
Fruit
Seeds?
crystals, I think, is
Vegetables.
what they're called.
Vegetable seeds or vegetables. Okay. Well, I got not nary a one, and I was not able to really progress very far. I did get an upgrade, and I just found mechanically that I was not able to continue playing the game. Um, so, uh, I'm certain that if I went back to it and really, really stuck with it, I'd be able to progress a bit further. But it does feel to me like a game which is very, very challenging, and will require some really concerted effort to make any headway in. Um, Don, were you able to collect any of the special vegetables?
Yeah, I got at least two of them. After you asked
Okay.
me, and I was like, "Oh, I think I got a pear." I don't think I got a pear because once I got vegetables, like it's very clear. They're huge and they're sparkly, and there's a
And not pears.
cutscene, and they're not pears. Yeah, they're very clearly vegetables. I got either two or three of them, but I think I just got two.
Okay, cool.
I got three.
Um,
Did I get four? I got three or four power-ups. I would say that's maybe a better indicator of progress for me, anyway.
is is there a health bar? I don't
I don't
recall.
think so.
So if you fail, you're just reset to the nearest
Yeah,
platform or
yeah.
something?
If you
Okay.
die, you just reset to. Oh, it's still flagged.
Yeah,
It's the
there's right.
closest flag.
Yeah,
The
the little
last flag you
flags.
touched.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Um, but I found the graphics to be quite readable, quite legible, and they are
Yeah.
very similar. The pegboard aesthetic is almost identical to DK King of Swing, so
Hmm.
I sort of knew what I was into there, seeing that for the first time. The thing about the controls that I mentioned that makes them challenging for me is almost exactly what you were saying, Don, about kind of the size of the playdate and the way you have to hold your hands. On the Game Boy Advance, the original one, you have this great separation of L and R. L controls your left hand, R controls your right hand. So when you're doing the climb, it becomes quite easy and natural to do so. On this, I just never got that natural feeling of performing the climb. And Crazy Climber, you have,
Hmm.
I think there are two joysticks, right? Side by side. Um, it's been a while since I played that, but um, that also felt a little more natural or like understandable for me. And I don't know, again, if I just need to really buckle down and spend some additional time with this or what. But there was a bit of a disconnect for me with the controls, and this is a Nick thing. Um,
No,
there
it's
are
not. It's not. I think you're right. Like having those triggers, the separate triggers would make a huge difference. Or having,
Yeah.
I was even thinking having L and R sticks, like you're saying, on a controller, because he's making a
Mhm.
Steam, like basically a Steam version. And I think that might play a lot differently because you're not having to use the crank.
Okay, all right. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
that would make a big
I'm sorry
difference.
to cut you off, but I don't think it's necessarily a Nick thing. The extra challenge is using that crank.
Okay.
Like one huge thing that I kept kind of bothering me is you have to put your arms away to roll. If you could roll with your arms
Hmm.
out, I feel like that would have given me a lot more ease of play. Because I just kept wanting to roll when my arms were out. And maybe I would
I
be
mean,
using a right stick to just roll. I wouldn't
it
have
makes
to be
sense though,
putting my
right?
arms away. Yeah, it makes sense
Like
in this
if
game.
you
You
roll
have
on
to
the
put your
floor,
arms away.
you have to put your arms away, right?
Yes, you have to. Well, no. It makes sense in the game because you're moving your
Yeah,
arms with the crank. And so you can't
right,
move and move your arms at the same time because you only have one input.
right.
Whereas on a joystick, on a controller, a standard modern controller, you have two sticks.
24 inputs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
you could roll with your arms out.
gotcha.
yeah. I think I was somewhere between Nick Baldridge and Luke Sanderson, the designer of the game, who on the official Playdate podcast was talking about how uh, almost instantly he became very proficient at this game mechanic of cranking for arm movement and then B for grabbing. And you can see it in the GIFs. Like
Hmm.
I am imagining this is Luke Sanderson at work, and I never became as proficient as those GIFs. I felt like
Yeah.
I understood it, and there was some talk about how those hand grabbing mechanics would work, and they iterated on that quite a bit, moving from A to B. But again, when you're using a single thumb to hit both of them, that gets really difficult to control. I love that talk about the L and R button on the Game Boy Advance. That seems like it would be so intuitive. But with your hand on the crank on the Playdate, that's not really available. Plus, we don't have L and R buttons on the Playdate. Anyhow, they came down to the B button doing both hands, grab and then B again to make the other hand grab. And ultimately, I think that was the right decision
Yeah.
for the Playdate. But is it immediately intuitive? Do I feel like I've mastered this? Not in the least. I've been able to move the arms around and even get like a swing going on here and there, like a swing and release, but those were pretty tough for me. And I'm seeing things like a swing from one hand to the same hand on these GIFs. Like I'm looking at the third GIF down on the season 2 page,
Yeah.
and then like switching arms mid-air as that platform is moving upward. Oh, my brain almost can't even conceive of that. And
Yeah,
so anyway, obviously Luke's got some real adept crank skills
fine
going on
motor
here.
control skills.
Yes, for sure, for
Well,
sure.
he's using momentum too. Like that's very
Yeah,
important. It looks like in these GIFs. Like he's got momentum down. I almost never use momentum unless I had to.
uh,
Yep, yep.
0% for me. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it, looking at the Playdate, and yes, it does have fewer inputs, but there are enough inputs that you could implement an entirely different control scheme. The thing that I don't know about further in the game is the type of upgrades which are available, which may change the nature of the inputs as you go. So
It
if,
kind of does.
yeah, yeah,
It
I
gets
would
more
imagine that it
complicated.
does. Right. So in that case, this is probably the perfect control scheme for the nature of the game that was designed here. But it's not something that clicks with me directly. So anyway,
Yeah.
I did find the quality of the game to be extremely high, and I enjoyed the music and the sound effects and the artwork
Music's
quite
great.
a bit.
Yeah.
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 Art is great, of course. Level design I really enjoyed.
The level design was quite challenging, the bit that I played,
There are some
because
the difficulty spikes I did not appreciate
the
as far as
difficulty spikes
level
seem to
design.
be a lot of ways that you are required to traverse
Hmm.
that are quite challenging for the inept player like myself, such as those momentum jumps. There
Yeah.
are a few of them early on that you can perform in order to get optional stuff. And initially I was trying to get all the optional stuff and quickly gave up on that dream. But I don't know how that ramps up as things go. And like I say, this is probably something which I'll revisit with the fullness of time and try to progress a little further and maybe finish one day,
I
if
was
that
going to
is
bounce
possible.
off that real quick, Nick, in that we on the show are experiencing these new releases every week, just like everybody else who's purchased season 2. But I think we have kind of a pressure. I'm speaking for myself. You can tell me if you feel this too, but I feel like we have sort of a pressure to get to them and make our way through as much as we can and possibly even complete these games within a week's time and sometimes less. Again, to pull back the curtain, we're recording a couple days early. So we've had 5 days in between our last recording and this one to make our way through these 2 season games as best we can. So I say all that to say, I think that this is a game that really has some long legs. Like
Hmm.
we could be playing
Hmm.
this game
Oh
for
yeah.
quite some time without the pressure of having to record about it and discovering new things, popping in occasionally, getting through a portion of the map, unlocking a key, moving to a new level, and complete it over the course of, weeks or months or, longer. If we wanted to, I think we're feeling a little bit of that pressure to get to these games in such a quick way that sometimes it maybe, I don't know, has a bit of an assignment feel for us rather than like, oh, this is a fun discovery that I'm going to explore over the course of many weeks without the feeling of pressure. So I hope I can come back and do that some more with this game. That's the kind of game it felt like to me.
Yeah.
I agree. And Don, I think Ryan just told us he's quitting the show live on the air here. So
Is that what I did?
Boop free.
Don's dream
no.
come true.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I look forward to playing more of it. I look forward to going back to this. And yeah, I do feel I definitely feel pressured to see as much of each release as possible. And when season 2 was announced, it really bummed me out that we were getting 2 games a week. I would have loved to have just gotten 1 game a week. So I'm not sure why they made that decision, but it's fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world or anything, but it would have been
Well,
nice to
Yeah.
just digest one a week.
it was
There
the same format for season one. You
I
got a
know
couple games a
that
week.
sucked too,
And
which is
I
fine.
anyway, yeah,
Season 1
that's
was different because there was nothing out at the time. And so if you didn't like one game, you're getting something else. If you didn't like
that's
Casual
true.
Birder, you're getting Whitewater Wipeout. So it
Yep.
was a little bit different. Then now there's
A
1,500 games
thousand
out.
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. True. True.
But
um
I had a couple things. Ryan, how many things did you unlock? Like how far in did you get? How many
Just
power-ups,
about
I
the
guess?
same, just about the same as Nick, I would say. I got
Okay.
well, I don't know if we want to do spoilers or not,
Uh,
but
uh,
if,
you can see most of them in the gifts. Did you get like you can see him diving? Did you get the dive ability?
yep, I got the swimming power up. Yep.
Okay. But
And
it sounds like
that's
maybe
about
you weren't able to jump
yes, I did get the jump power up,
because that
I
kind of
believe.
changes things that changed things quite a bit for me because then you're using
Or
both hands to jump.
or was that or was that just me jumping out of the water? That might have just been me jumping
You
out of the
use both
water.
hands to jump. It's like a
Okay,
slingshot
then
mechanic.
no, I did not get that.
Okay, okay. And then after that is I got to the one after that is where I stopped.
Okay. And you said you got all four vegetable
No,
crystals
no, no. I
that
did
you're
not get
searching
all.
for?
No, no, no. I'm talking about
Oh.
power-ups. I think I
Oh,
only
okay.
got 2 vegetables, maybe 3, but two I distinctly remember.
Okay. Nice.
Um,
Nicely done. Yeah, it was shortly after that that I had to switch over to our second game of the week, which we'll talk about here in a moment.
yeah.
Um,
There,
but I also, oh, were you going to say something? Sorry,
there was
Don.
there was one other thing about this, and I'm do not like Metroid likes, and there was something I don't. There was something I like Metroid to an extent, but um, I don't like Metroid likes. I'm tired of them. But this, I was constantly living in fear, especially at the beginning, that I was like too far along or in a place that I wasn't supposed to be. Like it didn't
mhm.
telegraph very well if I was in the wrong part of the
In
map
an
and I wasn't
advanced
supposed to be
area.
there. Whereas most
Yeah.
Metroid likes, okay, I can't go past this part
There's a brick
until,
wall,
yeah,
right?
there's a brick wall and I should have gone the other way to find the thing I need to unlock this thing. I need to go find the bomb, basically. Oh, I need to go find the bomb. Okay, so I should have gone the other way until I find the bomb. Then I come back here. And this game does not telegraph that well. And I was just in this constant state of fear of like, oh crap, am I just getting further and further and further off track? And I never really shook that. And because it's 2 colors, so it's hard to tell. And people on Discord kept saying like, "Oh, you go to the black parts of the map." I'm like, "Well, there's these giant white blocks too. Like, what are the white blocks? The white blocks clearly aren't places I've been. So what's the difference between the white blocks and the black blocks? Like, I don't understand." So that I did not like that feeling of I don't really know where I'm going, and am I making it worse?
Don, I live that feeling every day of my life. I have a terrible
I
sense of
hate that.
direction.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. I have a really good sense of direction and I'm not used to that. And I can't imagine. I would probably have a different hobby if I had that problem. Anyway,
Well, as we're wrapping things up here, I just wanted to
yeah.
mention that if the name of
Luke
of
Sanderson.
Luke Sanderson sounds familiar, it's because he's also had another game on catalog called Paper Pilot. So we've got a link to that in the show notes as well. And it was mentioned on the official Playdate podcast that Tiny Turnip was sort of a prequel to another very similar turnip climbing game called Turnip Mountain. And that is coming soon on Steam. We'll have a link to that as well. We sort of alluded to that earlier in the episode, but wanted to get those both mentioned before we move on to
Uh,
chances. No, chances. Are we
Nick?
ready for this,
I
Nick?
I was just going to give my 2 cents on the time pressure thing.
Ah, make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the fact that there are 2 games per week. I do understand the time pressure since we are recording um, once or twice every week to talk about the season games. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the season as I did with season 1, and I'm excited to talk about the next game.
Cool.
Which is Chance's Lucky Escape.
Here we
So
go.
the second game of season 2, week 5, is Chance's Lucky Escape. This is made by Goloso Games and Julia Minamata. So we've got some heavy hitters here, some darling indie devs who came together and produced this game about the luckiest dog in the world who is called to rescue by the evil genius Snowball. And we've got story by both Goloso Games and Julia Minamata. Goloso Games is on code and dialogue. Julia Minamata is on art and proofreading. We've also got sound effects and music by Philip Aldous. And my gosh, does this game ever sing when it comes to the graphics? There are environments that are fun to explore. There are characters who are very different from one another and each very expressive, even though there's a very limited amount of animation in here. It's basically a still game, but with a little tail wagging, etc. So this is a point and click adventure, which is not surprising if you know anything about Julia Minamata. She recently came out with the Crimson Diamond, and that was a callback to, I believe,
The
Nick, correct me if I'm
Colonel's
wrong, EGA
Colonel's
games.
Bequest.
Uh-huh. EGA games from the 80s, the point and click games, and this definitely has some of those fingerprints, but in a similar vein to Whiteout, a much updated system that is not quite as punishing, we'll say. Less things to explore on screen, more directed movements and puzzle solving than in those original point and click games. So I think this sort of point and click light is happening again here in Chance's Lucky Escape to bring in some new folks to that point and click fold. And if you like this sort of point and click light, then hey, maybe you investigate some of those other point and click heavy games. So this was a really fun experience getting to know the city that Chance was navigating, getting to know the characters, exploring each one of these environments. And I felt like there was a really good balance of detail and clarity within each of these environments that you were exploring. I really enjoyed the sort of pared down nature of what you are able to explore. In a traditional point and click game, you could be searching for everything on the screen and trying to figure out what in the world is even possible to interact with. But this particular game has some highlighted effects for things that you roll over and lets you know, hey, you can interact with this portion. Maybe. And usually you've got like a handful of things on the screen, like literally maybe five. And that felt good to kind of have your scope narrowed, especially for that whole multiple games a week, having to report on them. It felt like this was a much more manageable experience. Um, I think I can say that we've all completed this game in the 5 days that we had to complete it. And I've been talking a lot about it, so why don't we popcorn over to Dawn? Nick, I know you're another point and clicker, so I'm curious to hear from Dawn first. Dawn, what'd you think of this game?
Yeah, I am not a point and clicker, but I did like Goloso games. The other Playdate game they did, Spike 2, was a lot of fun. It was the side-scrolling shooter, and I really enjoyed that. I didn't know Julia Minamata worked on this, so that's really cool. I like her
Yeah,
work as well. She worked on, oh God, what was it? Was it? It wasn't Real Steel, was it?
it was another
It
dog
was, yeah.
game.
Oh, it was Real Steel. Okay,
Or no, no, it wasn't
it
Real
was the
Steel.
other
It
one.
was the other one where you're
What was,
flipping through
yeah, the
the
dog
Rolodex.
The
detective.
dog one.
Oh my God.
Hang on. Hold. Recommendation dog.
There we
There we
go.
go. Whew.
I remember liking her work. I follow her on Instagram, but I couldn't remember the name of it. Okay, anyway.
We did
Yeah,
it.
we did it. Despite
Congrats,
not liking
quadragenarians.
the genre, I did enjoy this. Like Ryan was saying, I like that it was pared down and there's only like five things to interact with instead of a million, and your inventory is not overflowing with stuff. And so it's like, okay, you grab a thing and then use it. And then, okay, that doesn't work. At least you're not doing the 20 things. It's just five things. Okay. Five things versus five things to interact with. Uh, it's somewhat simple. There's only a few chapters, and I was able to finish the game in like a half hour, and it was fun and snappy. There's some clever use of the capabilities of the Playdate, and so it kept it fun. The art is really nice. I love the fonts. I like how they really differentiate between dialogue, internal thought, and interacting with items. It's very clear what's going on at any one time. Yeah, it was fun. There were a couple times where things weren't necessarily legible. Like there was an item that I needed to interact with, and you could see it on the screen. I just wasn't looking at it, and so I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. And it was in the first stage, so I didn't really understand the what the game was going for just yet. But that was more on me rather than the game. I should have been looking at each detail. But yeah, I had fun with it. It was a cute little adventure. I think maybe did somebody compare it to like those putt putt games?
That would make sense.
Yeah, it's more along those lines.
Yeah,
It's not super heady, just like
it's a
accessible.
straightforward, accessible adventure game. Yeah,
Yes, good way to put it. So, yeah, it was cool. Enjoyed. Nick, what'd you think?
very good. This will shock you. Also enjoyed this game. Um, I'll just echo a lot of the sentiments that both of the other podcast hosts have provided in that I love the artwork. I really enjoyed the music. The puzzle design was very clever, and I loved the fact that it utilized relatively underused features of the Playdate in order to solve some of the puzzles. I thought those were telegraphed fairly well. I saw some chatter in the Discord that one of the puzzles wasn't telegraphed super well, but I I thought it made sense. And there's a an intro screen when you fire up the application that says, "Hey, this game uses all these features of the Playdate." Kind of a reminder, like be on the lookout for this thing, which I thought was helpful. Um, the the core concept of the game I thought was fun and funny. It's about a dog named Chance who is unlucky, and that's kind of the whole nature of the game. So everything that happens and unfolds is because of that nature of a dog who is opposite natured from their name. Um, and let's see, the one of the cool things is the smooth moving cursor, which I thought was really helpful. It moves more smoothly and more quickly than, say, Maniac Mansion on the NES. I have a lot of interesting point and click touch points. But anyway, I thought it was very well designed. It was very accessible. It was very legible graphically, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it was a breezy, fun little adventure, and it broke up, attempts at turnip movement. So very good.
Yeah, I think another thing that helped this game feel more straightforward that we have not mentioned is that in a typical point and click adventure game, you can move to any screen. You can move up, down, left, right. You can traverse this, wide world, almost like in a original Legend of Zelda type way. There's, typically a huge map to explore. But in this game, it was very linear. You are on a screen, and once you do the thing, then you're on the next screen. And there's no way to go up, left, right, down, any
Hmm.
other way. You are moving in a very linear fashion. So there's a lot of really deliberate choice making on the part of the devs to make this a very friendly point and click game.
Hmm.
So if I think Dawn is the perfect example here. It's like, I'm not a point and clicker, but it sounds like you had a pretty good time with this,
Yeah.
and I think all these decisions that were made by the devs are going to help uh, even folks who are not point and click adventure fans enjoy this experience. I think they've pulled out a lot of the potential frustration from that genre to make this game.
Limited inventory, limited movement, those kinds of things. So, in
Yep.
fact, no movement. It's all just single
Yeah.
screen
Yeah.
interaction. Um, so, yeah, totally agree.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All right.
Right on. Well, it sounds like from that pregnant pause that we might be ready to talk about our season two rankings for this week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, who's going first? Not it.
Nick is typing. Nick, you want to go first?
Nick, make it happen.
Uh, Certainly.
Oh,
All
Ryan
right.
is editing his. Oh, okay. Thought Ryan was deleting Nick's work.
We got real time updates here, everybody.
I
Okay.
wouldn't dream of it.
In number 10, I have Tiny Turnip. Number 9, Fulcrum Defender. 8, Wheel Sprung. 7, A Long Puppy. 6, Catch a Diablos. 5, Otto's Galactic Groove. 4, Dig Dig Dino. 3, Chance's Lucky Escape. 2, Shadowgate PD. And number 1, The Whiteout.
Very nice.
Go for it, Don.
Okay. Number 10, I've got Long Puppy. 9, Shadowgate PD. 8, I've got Chance's Lucky Escape. See, I didn't write them down here. Whatever is next, I've got Fulcrum Defender, then Wheelsprung, Catch a Diablos, Otto's Galactic Groove, The Whiteout, and then I've got Tiny Turnip, and then in number 1, Dig Dig Dino.
All right. I'll cruise through these quickly until I get to this week's games. 10 Wheel Sprung, 9 Autos, 8 Shadowgate PD, 7 is Tiny Turnip for me. 6 Catch a Diablos, 5 Long Puppy, 4 is where I am putting Chance's Lucky Escape, which makes my top 3 Fulcrum Defender, number 2 Dig Dig Dino, number 1 The Whiteout.
Very nice.
Cool.
Cool.
Lots of great games. Nice work, devs and Panic and everybody who made this happen.
Only 2
Mhm.
more games to add, and then we'll have to add in Blippo, I guess.
Yes. Everybody's number 1.
Nick will have a
Do we
solo
wait?
episode.
Do we wait to rank Blippo until they've finished broadcasting all 11 weeks?
Sure, Nick.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And with all that said, maybe I can let you know that we are available at Helloplaydatepodcast at gmail.com if you feel like emailing us, just like Jason Martin did. That is a thing that you can make happen. Also, we're on Instagram, Hello Playdate. We're on the YouTubes if you'd rather listen to us there, which is at Hello Playdate Podcast. I mean, it's youtube.com/ at Hello Playdate Podcast. We're on Blue Sky. That's helloplaydate.bluesky.social. We are on our own gosh darn website at playdatepodcast.com. And we've got a Discord. If you guys want to join us on the old Discords, by golly, come on over. We're a welcoming bunch there. Love to see you there as well. I think that's it. Oh, Bingo's tip line. Bingo's tip line. 724 Bingo's one. That's 724-246-4671. Can't believe I almost forgot that. We want your melodious voice. 724 Bingo's one. 724-246-4671. Be a part of this show in an audio format.
And if you need any help on restoring a Bally Circus Queen, can also help with that.
Dawn sigh. All
Nick,
right.
you need a day off, bro.
For real. Making more work for yourself. All right.
All right, catch
Well,
you next week.
Yep, indeed. Great talking to you guys. See
Same
you
to
in
you.
a number of days.
Alrighty.